Congratulations to Heat rookie Kel'el Ware for being named to the NBA All-Rookie second team yesterday. I thought he was robbed. He should have been first team. Just came up short to Alex Sarr. Maybe some top 2 pick bias there. Becomes the 15th rookie to be named to an All-NBA rookie team in Miami Heat history. And I want to show him some love and appreciation. So if you are happy with what the Rook did in his first season for the Miami Heat, hit that thumbs up icon, and hopefully he continues to build on a successful first year. All right, I am Nick Roloff. This is the Heat Report by Chat Sports. It's time to get into an interesting trade idea because there has been some Twitter discussion from yours truly, some others, about a weird 76ers Heat trade that could land Paul George in Miami. And I know a lot of people might be, Paul George, that contract, the way he looked this past season, why would we do that? Well, first of all, I want to give a shout out to the person who came up with the trade idea. Birdie954 The Win is the username. Shout out to him. He said that after some rumors that the Sixers could trade the third pick alongside Paul George to get off that contract, he said, what if the Heat traded Andrew Wiggins and Terry Rozier to get that third overall pick and Paul George? Now, I think there's a lot of pros, there's a lot of cons. We'll dive through all of them and if the 76ers would even contemplate this. But Jonathan Givony, the lead ESPN draft analyst of Draft Express, did say that teams expect the Sixers to be active in trade conversations, including Paul George in the number 3 pick. He specifically labeled Kevin Durant and Lauri Markkanen, but did talk about how Daryl Morey has made a career of being active and aggressive on the trade front. So could see the third pick be in play to move off of Paul George's contract and to potentially help build their team around Maxey MB, Jared McCain, right now. And if you're Miami, it is a tough call to make. Now, they might have to add their 20th overall pick to Wiggins and Rozier to get the Paul George and third overall pick done because of how good this draft class is. There's a lot of positives that could be for Miami, and there's one massive negative that we'll talk about. Let's start with the positives, though. Obviously, if you got the third overall pick, that would be an absolute home run. It would be just an immediate turnaround for your organization with how good this draft class is. Now, if you do have the third pick, these are the players that I would contemplate taking. Did not put Cooper Flagg on the list because he's obviously going number 1. Now, I do believe Dylan Harper is a slam dunk pick at number 2 for San Antonio, but who knows? They've made a history of being a little bit outside the box with their draft choices, so maybe they went in a different direction than Harper. If he was there at 3, you take him no doubt, but I would probably lean then VJ Edgecombe. I'm taking Dylan Harper over any of those 5 players that we just mentioned. But if Harper ultimately did go 2 and Miami had the third pick, it's a no-brain VJ Edgecombe selection for me. A legit 2-guard that can fit really well next to Tyler Hero. A superb athlete that can get to the rim. Did have some finishing struggles this past season, which was concerning, but shot 39% from 3 in Big 12 play. Also a top 5 perimeter point of attack guard defender in this draft class. He is a dog, would be a great fit next to Tyler Hero. So I would either take VJ Edgecombe or Dylan Harper with the third pick if Miami ultimately acquired it. Another positive of the deal, obviously moving off of Terry Rozier, something that the Heat and Heat fans want to do so badly after being acquired a year and a half ago by the Charlotte Hornets before the trade deadline. Really good in his first 31 games, averaging 16 points, scoring efficiently, but we know the disaster what was last season. Just a complete regression on all ends of the floor, couldn't buy a basket, played low IQ basketball, just an absolutely abysmal basketball player in the 24-25 season. And his contract is just so large. Now, there is a incentive to keeping Terry Rozier this year, because if you keep him, you could either flip him at the deadline if you want to acquire someone, or you can use that contract to come off of the books and have it be an expiring for next offseason in free agency, it being $26.6 million. Now, because there's only 1 year left, it's not as bad as it was in the past, but the Heat do want to use that money to actually get a helpful piece for this upcoming roster. Now, we're going to re-ask this question at the end of today's show, but just off first glance, would you make that trade for Paul George and the 3rd overall pick if you just had to give up Andrew Wiggins and Terry Rozier? Let me know your thoughts. Type Y for yes or type N for no. Well, the third and final positive of making that deal is, well, you move off Andrew Wiggins as well. So the only positives is you get off 2 veterans and you get that 3rd overall pick. Now, Wiggins, when he was on the court, he wasn't that bad. Like, I think we over-exaggerate how poorly he actually was for the Heat in their team. Like, his raw stats were good. But the issue with Andrew Wiggins is that I don't think he fits that well offensively next to Hero and Bam. And he never played, and his contract is not the best. He's getting paid $28.2 million this upcoming season. And then as a player option for the 2026-2027 season, which with how things looked this past season, you would project that he opts in to that $30 million contract. But the main issue that most of us have with Andrew Wiggins is the fact he didn't play for the Miami Heat. In the regular season, out of the 33 possible games he could have played after being acquired in that Jimmy Butler trade, he only played in 17 of them. That is absolutely abysmal, barely over a 50% games played rate. Like, he missed it due to personal reasons, injuries. Now, he did play in both play-in games and all 4 games against the Cavaliers, but, like, it just wasn't good. And to me, if you could move off of Andrew Wiggins this offseason for a better piece, I am all in favor of doing that. So, the 3 positives of the deal. You get the 3rd overall pick, you get Terry Rozier and Andrew Wiggins off of the roster and kind of commit to a little bit of a youth movement, if you will. We're going to talk about the negative and if I would make the deal here in just a second. But we are sponsored by PrizePicks, the daily fantasy sports platform I play every single day. And as the playoffs in hockey and basketball wind down, don't miss your last chance to add your favorite players from the court to your PrizePicks lineup. Whether it's points, rebounds, assists, take your pick of more or less for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash today. And you can turn your playoff hot takes into tickets. Basketball's championship series. Not many games left, but every lineup you make on PrizePicks will enter you into the Takes the Ticket sweepstakes, which could get you and a +1 a VIP trip to the ship. You can play so many different ways, daily, season, series long, combining different sports like golf, basketball, baseball, hockey, sports. You could do it all. My entry for the series that starts tonight: more than Miles Turner points per game, more than Tyrese Halliburton assists per game, and less than Karl-Anthony Towns rebounds per game in this Knicks-Pacers Eastern Conference Final Series. Join me and the millions of others today. Download the app today and use code CLNS when you sign up to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. PrizePicks. Run your game. So we displayed 3 positives for making that deal. The only negative is acquiring Paul George. But he is such a large negative that it equals, or some might say even outweighs, the 3 positives we talked about. George's raw statistics are not that bad. Almost like Andrew Wiggins. You have to go beyond the box score and use your eyes and use the contract and the missed games to really talk about how negative of a player Paul George has unfortunately become. You see the games played over the last 4 seasons. There's only been 1 game where he's played over 65, or 1 season where he's played over 65 games, that being in 2023-24, which helped get him that 4-year max contract from Philly last offseason in free agency. Played in less than half the games this past season, had almost a career low in efficiency metrics, as well as only averaging 16 points a game. Like, if we're going to be honest, he looks cooked. He does. Like, the Paul George that we all know and love that can get to his spot and just dominate in isolation settings, even be a good high-level 2-way guy defending top perimeter wings on the opposing teams. It's just not there. And he even said it himself that he doesn't think he could be a elite defender at this stage in his career. So as he continues to progress to be age 36, 37, 38, and he's getting owed this much money, and he has so much injury history and the playoff dropping that we've seen throughout his career, it is just such a negative asset, which really brings down the idea of acquiring that third overall pick. And it's the reason why the Sixers may attach that third pick to move off of Paul George. And make sure you do subscribe because we're going to finish the conversation here. But we have daily Heat content on all news, rumors, ideas, hypotheticals, best offseason coverage on YouTube surrounding the Miami Heat. Join the channel today. I mentioned that contract multiple times. Well, this is what is left on it. Basically 3 years, because you can guarantee that the way Paul George has looked, at least this past year, that he's going to opt into that 27-28 season at $56.5 million. So you owe him $51, $54, and $56 million over the next 3 seasons. With how he looked and how many games he misses, and the fact that he can't be a top probably 2 player on a championship team, it's ugly, man. It's a horrible contract. Unfortunately, if you acquire Paul George, you handicap your ability to make any other moves over the next 3 years. And if you do make this trade, I'll make the point where you almost admit that you are not going to win a title in the next 3 seasons. You make this trade and you are basically saying, all right, we're making this deal to get the third pick because we believe in that player, whether it's Edgecombe, Ace Bailey, or Dylan Harper, so much to where, hey, maybe we do make the playoffs with this team. And I think they would make the playoffs if they acquired PG. Get some experience, build up that core of, say, Ware, Bam, Hero, third overall pick. And then when Paul George's contract runs out, Bam's entering his age 30, 31 season where he's in his prime. Hero's 27, 28 in his prime. You now then have a third-year guy on a rookie contract with that pick you made at third overall, and you have Ware in their 4th season. So it's a long-term play because $138 million to Hero, Bam, and PG in the 26-27 season, that's not very good. And by the way, that doesn't even account for the Tyler Hero potential extension, which would then be, 3 players in $50 million contract? And in today's CBA, that's really not doable here. Like, it's not. You would not be able to build a competent roster at all if you're paying Paul George, Bam, and Tyler Hero each around $50 million per season. It would just be a disaster of an idea for the Miami Heat, and you're basically punting on the next 3 seasons and saying, hey, in 28-29, hopefully we'll be able to compete. So this is the trade idea. One more time, before I give you my official idea, I'm changing it slightly because I do believe you would have to attach the 20th overall pick to this Rozier and Wiggins package because, yeah, Paul George is bad, but that third overall pick is pretty nice to have. So that's the trade. Would you make this deal? After I went through the positives, after I went through the negatives, would you make this trade if it was on the table? Type A for accept, type D for decline. I'm giving my thoughts here in 1 second. Although I was so adamant about the negativity of Paul George and that you're basically punting and admitting that the next 3 seasons you will not win a title, I think I would. Reason why. I mentioned I'm taking VJ Edgecombe with that third pick, if not Dylan Harper. But let's just say the more realistic outcome happens. It goes Cooper Flag, Dylan Harper, and you're left with that other choice here at 3. And you take VJ. You have then a starting 5 of Tyler Hero, VJ Edgecombe, Paul George, Kel'el Ware, and Bam Adebayo. Does it win a title? No. Does it even make the conference finals? Probably not. But it moves me. It does. Like, I would be so bullish on your front court and back court pairing. Hero, VJ, Bam, and Ware. That core could be so good. And as I mentioned, yeah, you have to ride out that Paul George contract over the next 3 seasons, and you'd be in the second apron in all likelihood, and you'd have to face that reality. But you would have the core coming out of that of 2 elite guards, hopefully, and a front court pairing that just needs a connecting wing that doesn't need to be a star, but just a role-playing solid 3-and-D wing after Paul George leaves to where in 28-29, 29-30, 30-31, you are competing at the highest level for a championship. Like, I truly do view that 4-man core as one that can lead a title to Miami in 3 seasons. It would be a tough 2 to 3 year stretch here, and it would be frustrating, but it is a long-term play if you do it. I think I would be willing to make it. It all just depends if Philly would be able to and want to. But I will say, when it comes down to it, I don't think Philly actually does trade Paul George or that third pick, because it doesn't really make a lot of sense for them to do that due to their financial situation. All right, I'll do it for this episode. Make sure you do subscribe, because we talk a lot about fun things here at the channel, whether it's actual trade news, trade rumors, or just a hypothetical that Heat fans were talking about on Twitter. So I wanted to give my 2 cents. We break it down here at the channel on the daily, so join us today.